What's up guys, Gary with SelfTaughtDev. Today we are going to go over 3 places you can host projects for free if you need places to host your portfolio projects. So let's go. First up is Netlify. This is hands down my favorite place to host sites right now. It's where I have selftaught-dev.com hosted, which is a collection of practice projects I've built over the past year. So if you need practice projects to host on any of the sites we talk about today, go check out selftaught-dev.com. Anyway, all you have to do to host a site here is one, create an account. Their free tier is very generous too. I think the only thing I've ever had to pay for using Netlify is for their forms, because if you go over a certain number of form submissions per month, they'll start charging you for it because they can handle all the form logic for you. But you just click on new site from Git and click on GitHub, GitLab, or Bitbucket, depending on where your project's hosted on. Then you have to authentic or give Netlify access to your GitHub repos so it can pull data from it. And we're just going to deploy this demo Gatsby site. You'll put in your build commands and you can select what branch you want to deploy if you've got multiple branches you want to deploy. And then we'll just click on deploy site and it will start building the site for us. Now that can take a minute or 2 or 5 or 10 depending on what you have in that repo. But cool thing it has is continuous deployment. Like let's say this builds and I make some changes and push the changes to GitHub. Netlify will detect those changes and say, oh hey, there's some changes here, we need to rebuild the site. And it'll pull those changes in, rebuild your site, and update whichever version is live, unless you lock it to the previous deploy. Like when this finishes building, there's going to be a button here that says lock to this deploy. So whenever I make a change to GitHub, it'll pull in the changes, rebuild the site, but it won't automatically switch to the newest version. I can kind of go into preview mode and play around with the newest version first and make sure everything works right. But a few of the other cool things they have functions. So you can basically run serverless functions. You can basically have a backend without actually having to pay for a backend. I use this on SelfTaughtDev to process Stripe payments and talk to my database to map the user IDs correctly. I think that's mostly what I've used it for, just processing payments through Stripe or sending requests to Stripe to process payments. But there's a lot of other cool stuff you can do with serverless functions. Then we've got identity. Netlify identity basically lets you set up authentication. So you can basically get authentication set up. If you're doing it for your first time, it might take like an hour or 2, but if you've done it before, in like 15 minutes probably, with the GoTrue API they have. And you can then have users log in. You can also give them roles, so you can give them like a paying user role. So like if you have something with functions set up with Stripe, you can set up a webhook. So whenever they complete the payment on Stripe, Stripe says, hey Netlify, add this guy, give this guy the paying customer role, and then Netlify will update that customer's role in here, and then they can see that you can make it so they have access to the whole other side of the site that's for paying people or something like that. And then lastly, the cool thing I like is the forms. All you have to do, they will like process form stuff for you. All you have to do is give your form tag this, your form element, this Netlify tag, and then whenever it builds, it will detect this and it will say, okay, hey, we need to get this input field and store it under name, this input field and store it under email. And whenever you hit send, Netlify will grab the values out of these 2 fields and store it in their forms. Which there's usually, there we go, recent form submissions, so it'll just pop up right here. And then if you have multiple forms, you'll have like homepage form or contact us page form. The form names depend on whatever you have here. So, but those are 3 of the cool things that I like about Netlify. And then our site has finished building here. It says site is live, so now we can go up here and we can either preview the deploy and it will give us a little preview link here, or we can go to this one, which they are apparently the same now since I only have one published. But if we start making changes and rebuilding the site, that preview link should change from our live link here. And then I believe you can also change that live, you can customize it a little bit somewhere in the settings here, build and deploy maybe. But there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. This is hands down my favorite one to host projects on for now, just because their free tier is so generous. But on to the next one. My second favorite place to host projects is going to be Heroku. This place you can spend, their free tier isn't quite, actually I don't know, they limit you to 5 projects here. I don't know if Netlify will limit you to how many projects you can build. I know you have a certain amount of bandwidth that you can transfer per month, like 100 gigabytes on their free tier. I don't know about project limitations on Netlify though. But I've got a few things spun up here on Netlify, or not Netlify, Heroku. Whenever you create a new account, you just click on New, Create, Add App, and we'll just name the app Test App, and then we click Test App. 1, 2, 3. No dashes or underscores apparently. And then we got to rename it a bunch of random stuff. Cool, because your app name has to be unique. Then we click Add Pipeline, and then wait, no, we don't want to add pipeline, do we? Create new pipeline. Yeah, this gets a little more complex than what I usually need, because you have a lot more flexibility on what you can do on Heroku. Like I don't actually need this second pipeline I just added, so we're gonna refresh the page because I don't see a way to remove that. Test app, and then we click on create app. But I think I'm already at my 5 project limit, so I'm not actually gonna create this all the way. It was showing 4 projects, but I've got a database. Oh, whoop. Huh. Maybe not. But you can connect with Heroku GitHub, or container registry. Interesting. And then you can name your repo or search for your repo name. Like I think the one we did on Netlify was Gatsby test. So if we just search for that or demo, and then you can select your repo and click connect, and it'll build the app for you. The only thing I don't like about Heroku is it doesn't keep your app spun up. So like if we go to my Pokedex app here and click on open app, it's gonna take a few minutes to load, because when your app's hasn't been viewed within like the past 5 or 10 minutes, it put your app to sleep to save space on their servers. So whenever you want to go to your project, if you haven't been there in a while, it'll take a few minutes to spin up. So this one isn't super great if you're hosting your portfolio projects, because typically when the hiring manager or whoever's looking at resumes is going through your resumes and your projects, they don't want to spend a whole lot of time on your projects. So like if it takes a while to load, like this is taking over 20-30 seconds now probably, they're probably just going to exit out and try to go to your next project. And if you have them all hosted on Heroku, they might all be slow to load. So just keep that in mind. You can pay, and apparently my Pokedex app is broke anyway, so I need to take that one down. But keep the time thing in mind. You can pay to keep your app spun up, but this is about free stuff, right? So nah, we're not gonna pay for it. All right, so third option, Code Sandbox. Now, this one doesn't look super professional when you're hosting your projects, but hey, it's a good option if you need free stuff. If this will load, there we go. Yeah, so you can sign in, or you can just create a sandbox from scratch, and it'll let you start off in any of these languages here. So like we can click React, and it'll basically do a create React app for us, and we can just start building our React stuff. Or you can also pull in from GitHub as well. If you sign in, or import project, there we go. You can sign in with GitHub, and then you'll just select the repository that you want to import. Let's search for, we have to put in the actual URL, so we'll go to GitHub here, and then we'll just go to my demo Gatsby site, grab this and throw that link here, and then we'll import and fork, and then you just give it a second to initialize the sandbox container. Now that took about 4 or 5 minutes, but it detects all your dependencies in the package JSON and imports everything you need, and then builds the site. So pretty similar. I don't think I put in any build commands or anything like that. I wonder how it knew what build commands to run. That's interesting. I guess it's Gatsby, so it's but yeah, this is another pretty good place to host your site. The links I would put, if you're gonna link the project in your portfolio to this, I'd just copy whatever link is here and use that, because that will load the actual built project, and you won't have this text editor on the side. It just looks a little bit more professional in my opinion. But if you want to link to the code, you can do that too. And you can build entire projects in Code Sandbox. If you don't want to download like Visual Studio Code or Atom or some text editor, you can build it all in here. That's another option as well, and then you can just rename it and you're good to go. Lastly, honorable mention, GitHub Pages is another option. I'm not gonna get super into this one. I haven't really used GitHub Pages to host anything before, But I know a few people in the Discord use this to host their projects, so this is another potentially good free option as well. If you're not in the Discord, look in the description. I'll have a link in the description where you can come join the Discord and talk tech with me or other developers and just kind of get advice or get help if you have any problems in your code you're trying to solve. But I think that's about it for this one. So we got Netlify, we got Heroku, we got Code Sandbox, and then if you want GitHub Pages, gave you a bonus one, 4 good options if you want to host free projects for your portfolio. Make sure you check out selftaught-dev.com if you need practice projects to build and host on any of those services. Come hop in the Discord again, links in the description if you want to come talk tech with me or anybody else in the Discord. And if you want to get my resume template, make sure you check out selftaught-dev.com/resume template. I'll have a link to that in the description as well. And you can get my resume template for free, the one I was using before I had any tech experience that helped me get my first tech job. So I think that's about it. I will see you guys next time. Peace.
Round 1.